Alright, everybody, I am here. I'm getting ready to show you how I edit some squirrel photos in just a moment here. I have to try and get this. Okay. Yeah, I need to be able to see my record thing, but now I can't move it. Okay. Well, it's alright. You guys can see. I can't see, so go figures. So this is me getting ready to walk you through some editing on some of my wildlife images. I'm going to start with one of the more complicated ones, which are usually deer. Deer are usually the most complicated because the time of day when I usually find them is usually when it's real dark. I mean, it's a little darker outside, so I already have to battle with that. And then also a lot of the settings that I have to use to pull this whole animal in focus, that's something I have to struggle with as well. And then like the other speeds I pick is another possible thing to struggle with doing deer, because you want to make sure that you get your image exposed enough, and then you just want to make sure that it's not that you don't have a lot of camera shake or subject motion blur. And so this is just one of the more complicated ones. Like, we can see a lot of noise. It's not really all that stable looking. And there's a lot of different ways where we can make an image look good. So I'm gonna start. I don't want to start with that one. I personally don't like that shot. I kind of like this one though. Yeah, this one ain't bad, even though that one's not the sharpest. And most of the time, wildlife images won't always be the sharpest. I'ma just keep it real with you. They won't always be the sharpest. So we'll start with this one, and we'll just reset it back to normal. That's what it originally looked like when I first took the shot. Now I can kind of see why I cropped it, because this tree right over here looks like a big distraction to some people. They can say, no, that looks a little natural and blah blah blah, you keep them in this habitat and this and that. So, but I personally will remove a tree like that. I straighten out the eyes. I straighten out the eyes as to not make the image looks as slanted as it is. And then what I would do to get something like this tree right there out of the way, all depend on what kind of shot I'm going for. If I'm going for more of a portrait of this deer, I'll just go to a 4x3 crop, maybe something like that, maybe a 4x5 crop, and cut off as much of the sides as I can without cutting off a lot of the top and bottom. Okay, so then we do, I don't want any of that tree hanging over the edge. So now I got my composition where I want it. His face is over here by that rule of third, yada yada, that's the rule. So now it kind of look almost the way it did when I first imported this image. Like, when did I first pull this image up? I pulled this image up November 19th. So this image is over a month old. I believe this is November. I can't see some of my screen, so let me okay, so let me not do that again. If I minimize my screen, I'll ruin my recording. It's okay, so it ain't disk space. Okay, yeah, so if I move my, like, if I minimize or kind of shrink my screen, then it's gonna stop my recording. So let me not, now I have to process this through editing. I did not want to do that. Alright, so what I do is I go ahead and I hit the auto button right there. And the reason I hit the auto button is because it does a lot of things for me that I would normally do anyway, such as raise my exposure, take down some highlights, and bring up some shadow. As far as the whites and blacks, sometimes I kind of mix these up a little bit. I move them around. But the first thing I want to do with this image is I want to clean up this noise. It's very noisy. I shot this at ISO 1600. It's not very noisy, but it is noisy. And it's a little more noisy than what ISO 1600 would look like because the image was severely underexposed. So yeah, I just went with 30 noise reduction, maybe 35, something like that. And I found out that the more megapixels your camera has, the better with noise reduction it is. I don't really know why. It just seems to work that way. Or I mean, the more noise reduction it can tolerate. Don't know why it seems to work that way. Alright, so then this is kind of how I mix my flavor right up in here. You know, my contrast levels. Yeah, so I just kind of play around until I get things to my liking, and I think that looks decent. Now, there are a few monkey tricks I would play with this, and I'm getting ready to show you them in just a second. You see all these color blotches on him, like a lot of these little different noise blotches, a lot of these different color blotches. I want to try to get those out. So the color of the noise. Yep. So if we set our color back to normal, you can see like spots of green and purple and pink and stuff like that all over them because of noise. Hit the color up a little bit and a lot of that goes away. Not all of it goes away, but a lot of it goes away. I don't need to remove chromatic aberration because the Pentax medium format lens I use does not have any. In fact, none of them do. Those lenses are actually perfect. So I haven't played around with lens correction in ages, even though I don't have them for those lenses anyway. A little vignetting. I like to play with this a little bit because if you notice, this image looks flat. There's nothing in this image that's leading you to the subject. And so just adding a little vignetting, it can kind of make up for a lack of that. And now you have a reason to look in the middle. Now let's go through our image and see we still have noise in our background. We still have little splotches of color on them, but it's not as bad as it was at first. And so then I go to my mask. Now, before Adobe updated this, I would have to do all of this manually, but now I could just hit a button, and that's only if it works. So I'll mask off my subject. Let's see if this works. And sometimes, like my mask, it picks. See, it cut my deer out perfectly. Ooh, that's really good. Sometimes I get like a little extra something like right up in there, you know. But then what I want to do is I want to just work on the exposure and color and light and contrast of my deer without touching my background at all. And the first thing I can notice on this deer is it wasn't all that sharp. And so what I do, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of zoom in a little bit so y'all can see. But oh crap, I can't make it up there. Okay, let me figure out another way to do this because my record button is blocking some of my screen. Okay, so I just do it that way. I move it where I want it first and then go back to mask. Okay, so as you can see, we do have like a little something extra right up under his ear. And the first thing that you can notice is the deer wasn't all that sharp. So what I do to add a little sharpness is I just some texture. I give him some texture, and giving him some texture will give him the illusion of being sharper. Let's take the texture away and then you can see what I mean. Boom. So giving texture really did make a big difference, a big significant difference. And then along with that, I want to give him a little like just a little, because a little sharpness goes a long way, I promise. It's like salt. Yeah, like sharpness is just like salt. A little goes a very long way. Do not be enticed to just blow the sharpness slider, because that will look bad real fast. It'll look real bad real fast. So then I just want to add a little bit more noise reduction on him. Just a little bit more, probably like 10, something like that. It don't have to be right on the dot, but it just does have to be a little bit more. And then, so, judging my deer, okay, let's go out of the mask. Let's pull all the way out, and then let's go back in the mask, since I can't, I can't reach over there. So just judging by the way my deer looks, he does seem to be a little alright, a little, a little satisfactory, but I can kind of play with this a little just to see what we do. Let's just pop it up a little bit, see what we can pull out. Just take them away, see how much different it was. I do that a lot. It's like every one I play around with, I then take away to see how much different it looked. And I think that those added whites really did pop this deer out. I really do think so, except I got a problem right above his nose. That's a like that's a big problem. Then let's add a little clarity. Let's make him a little, a little and a little, just a little animated in a way. And so what we can see, like real fast, I'm about to show you something wrong with this. Right here, all up in there, is not supposed to be that bright. So what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to add a second mask on this deer and just work on his head. Boom, I added a second mask, just a brush mask. And with this brush mask, I always want to start off with lowering down the highlights. That's the safest thing to lower when you want to start doing like little exposure changes like this. And the reason is because it holds the image quality a lot better when you just work on the highlights. Now, if I was to hit the exposure button, like real funny, real quick, like you see in areas where like the exposure shouldn't have changed, it's too easy to see a distinction spots when I do the exposure first. So when I just work on highlights, that's a safer thing to go after than exposure. I know I'm gonna have to go after the whites because I did increase on this deer. This spot was already blown out in the first place. And so, okay, so now that we have that the way that is, I can see, just a little, funny color or something like that, maybe just a little up in the green. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to add another mask, another brush, and I'm just going to pull back on the saturation, because some of this deer, it don't necessarily need to have color in it, but this is a very, very fine area. Let me see. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot I had a touchscreen on this joint. Okay. Alright, so yeah, now that's a very fine spot. Like that little spot right there, green, I want to take that out. A lot of times you don't necessarily notice stuff like this until you've been working with images for so long. You just expect things like that to show up in areas where you had to make an adjustment like that. And so I got the saturation pulled down, and let's just play with it just to see how well we can make it look. Oh, okay, not too bad. Let's pull that saturation all the way off. It's just, yeah, we took it down. And then let's just play with it like around this area. Get some of that green and stuff off. All of that discoloration from noise and the image being underexposed by a few values. Ooh, nope. No, 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 no. I don't like that. It just created a little spectacle in the middle. So yeah, I guess the little discoloration that I was unhappy with, I guess we, cleaned up as much of it as we could. And so now there we go. Look at the deer. His nose isn't blown out anymore. But then one thing I noticed is that we do have a little too much noise still in our image. And so I just go back and I just add a little bit more noise reduction. Let's go with something like 45 this time. Plus, after we increase the sharpness on our deer, we actually have a little more resolution to play around with on this. Okay, and so our noise isn't as bad as it was. And now, one more thing that we can talk about with this image is color. We can go and change colors. I don't always like changing colors. Actually, that's a lie. I do. In fact, I change colors in every image I work on, but it's not always necessary. So I don't have any funny color cast anywhere. So there's really nothing to really change the grade with the color. I mean, what I can play around with stuff, but it's just not working. A lot of people think as long as the image looks different, then edit it. And really, it doesn't have to look, drastically unnatural. As long as you actually see it. So I did want to play around with this because I don't really like it. I don't like the yellowish cast of those leaves or the deer, even though I think it should be that way. I think if I just warmed it down a little bit, it looks a little bit better to me. It's kind of warmed down. Yeah, let's just warm it on down. Let's warm it down a little more. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I do like that. So let's take it off. See what it looked like. Took off. Yeah, now he just looks too yellow. Yep. He looks too yellow now. Okay, now he looks yeah, he looks good. I mean, we do got some heavy orange in the back. We can mess around with that a little bit. So let's take this again and let's see how it looked before. Oh, it was already a little heavy. I mean, I can play with that, but it's supposed to be that color back there. So yeah, so that's our deer image right there. There's some things I can do to give this image a little more flavor. I want to see what it looked like all by itself, and it don't look too bad. I feel like some brightness is not there. I feel like it could be a little more happy. So I'm gonna go up here and let's play with the white. Okay, now playing with the white gave us a little too much. So I want to fix that back the way it was before I touched it. Thank God for Control Z, right? Bet you auto mechanics wish they had a Control Z. I bet you hairstylists wish they had a Control Z. No, I'm just playing. Control Z, fix any mistake you made in an instant. Okay, so I did, add a little more contrast in the white. I don't like the way it didn't look. Okay, boom, and then let's up the contrast and darks a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'ma just go crazy with this image, just for y'all. I'm gonna go crazy with this image just for y'all. Just make this image the world's biggest deal just for no reason. Yeah, I'm gonna just go crazy on my editing with this, just so y'all can see some stuff. Everything else I'm doing really don't need to be done. Like I said, I'm just about to go crazy on this image just for y'all to see some stuff. Like I'm about to just do some stuff for fun. I can walk into a little bit of my style here. Come on, let's bring that up, man. This dang on surface pen. I broke the tip to the surface pen, so now it kind of like the aim is so off now. Yeah, I really do love my Surface for photo editing. Like, I don't know why I didn't buy one of these things so long ago. Um, like as far as an on-the-go person like me, a photographer, that is the best photography editing computer I think a lot of people can grab, only for the pen and the color accurate screen. This is nearly 100% Adobe, 100% sRGB, which all images look online anyway. Okay, so yeah, yeah, let me just add a little more something to this image. Like, you know what, there's nothing else I need to do to this photo. This is a perfect photo here. Oh, what did I do? Oh no. Okay, I didn't do anything, I just thought I did. Yep, so there we go. This is a perfect photo. Now like it does kind of sort of look a little over sharpened in a way, and so let's try and clean that up the best way we can by, I'm gonna remove some of the sharpness, some detail. There we go. So that's good enough. Yep, that's our image. You guys help me work on this. Oh, and this would not be possible with a JPG image. This has to be raw. On the newer Canon cameras, it's CR3. Um, the older ones were CR2. Nikon has one. Sony has one. This has to be raw. That's why, like, that is the reason why so many people get photo editing wrong, is because they try to do what's right to an image that is wrong to do that with. This has to be raw. Raw usually have a bigger file size. Uh, I think for a JPEG, every I don't know. As for a RAW, it's 1 megapixel per megabyte as far as what I've been seeing over the years, as far as the trend that I've been seeing in file sizes on cameras that shoot RAW. So like if you had a 50 megapixel camera, you can easily pull off 50 megabyte RAW images, and those are the ones that you work on and see what's under the hood, you know. I'll give you an example of being able to see what's under the hood another time. But, I mean, you kind of did get a chance to see what's under the hood. Let's reset this. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like that's the ability to be able to work and see what's under the hood, you know? Boom, you know, like we just, and there we go. That's our shot.